So should we be concerned about the offensive line or excited about the defensive front? I've got my answer. You'll hear it next. Locked on LSU. Here we go.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked On LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We're free, available wherever you get podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. So thank you sincerely for that. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. LSU wrapped up its sixth practice of fall camp on Tuesday. It was the first full padded workout and went a little more than an hour and a half. We got to watch the entirety of practice. If you missed my full practice report, it's on the previous episode. Get it on podcast or YouTube. And thank you to all the everydayers who've already checked that out. Well, after practice, we got a chance to talk to Brian Kelly. And naturally, one of the first questions was about the dominance of the defensive front over the offensive line. And this is something that has been asked of me by many of you. As a matter of fact, on my show text line, which you can always text me, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. I got a text from a listener named Andrew who said, Matt, is the D-line success so far more representative of their skill or the offensive line's lack of experience, given that Clemson already has a better D-line than what our first offensive line sees in practice? I read that comment and I said, hold on. And what I aimed to do was put a side-by-side of what I think LSU is going to see August 30th up in Clemson, South Carolina, and what they see every day in practice. But first, after practice, Brian Kelly was asked that point blank about the offensive line and their struggles. And was it more of an individual issue or was it the group collectively? This is what Brian Kelly said. First question out the chute after this avalanche of a day in the scrimmage where two possessions ended with sacks. You had multiple TFLs. It was a purple wave, a purple tsunami engulfing Garrett Nussmeier and the LSU offense from the defensive front seven. This is what Brian Kelly said.
It's a little bit of both. I mean, look, when we go into these scrimmage situations, just so you can hear my perspective, I'm much more interested in, the evaluation, not the congratulations. This is evaluating what are the things on our football team that we need to get better at individually, collectively, as a unit, offense and defensively. I'm not looking for guys getting patted on the back saying, well, what a great scrimmage. It's one. I want to be able to evaluate. And today, for me, is a great evaluation day. I was able to glean some things through our work today that allows me to help our coaches continue the evaluation process. So it's both. It's individually, it's collectively as a unit, and then, as an offense and defense.
Now, I think there's a lot of validity to what Brian Kelly said. Listen, this is my 19th LSU football season, 19th fall camp that I've covered. Listen, there's some old heads. God bless them. They've been covering this longer than I have. But 19 years is a large sample. I saw Les Miles, I saw Ed Ogeron, and now I've seen Brian Kelly. I've seen a lot of fall camps. And the one thing I know for certain is that it's really difficult to extrapolate much from one practice. And this was a day that the defense dominated. Anybody with two eyes and a beating heart could see what we all saw today. It was an overwhelming performance by the defense. And yes, we've all got questions about the offensive line replacing. You're effectively gotten 5 new starters. Even though DJ Chester's back, he's not playing guard. Braylon Moore's at center. So yes, I get it. I get all the questions about the offensive line. But here's the thing that I would say, especially relative to the question that was asked by Andrew. First of all, it's one practice. Undeniably, it may even be Saturday. They're going to scrimmage on Saturday. Maybe Saturday, the LSU offense wins the day. That's how it goes. Sometimes the offense has a great day. Sometimes the defense has a great day. Sometimes it's a little blasé either way. It's just the nature of it. But you got 21 fall camp practices. So there's going to be highs and lows, ebbs and flows. It's just the nature of it. So don't overreact to any one practice. That's the truth. But the point he made about Clemson defensive line being better than what the LSU offensive line is seeing in practice, it gave me pause because I said, let me put pen to paper and actually see how these two units stack up. And you may laugh at this, but let me spell this out for you. There really are three defensive linemen that Clemson has that are truly elite. Peter Woods is an interior player. TJ Parker is an edge, and they brought in Will Helt. Will Helt was from Purdue. He's one of the top edges in the portal. LSU wanted Will Helt. He ultimately picked Clemson. Fine. LSU did A-OK. Let me just, and I don't mean to confuse you or bore you with numbers, but just follow me here, okay, with those three guys. Peter Woods, defensive tackle, has played in 23 games. He started 12 times. He's got 3 career sacks and 11 TFLs. You can be a really impactful interior player without stuffing the stat sheet. But again, 23 games, he's got 3 sacks and 11 TFLs. TJ Parker, really impressive edge player. He's played in 27 games with 17 starts in 2 years, 16 and a half sacks, 32 TFLs. Remember that. And then Will Helt, the Purdue transfer, has played in 24 games, 5 sacks, 10 TFLs. Okay. Now, let's look at the LSU defensive front, shall we? Remember I told you about TJ Parker with 16 and a half sacks and 32 TFLs? LSU went in the transfer portal and got a guy by the name of Patrick Payton out of Florida State. Patrick Payton's played in 40 games with 26 starts, 16 sacks, 31 and a half TFLs. Patrick Payton's productivity over his time at Florida State basically mirrors TJ Parker. You have a long, freakish edge rusher. Oh, by the way, Patrick Payton's running with your twos right now. How about Jamari Butler? Jamari Butler's a 6th-year player. He's played in 37 games with 16 starts. He's got 17 TFLs and 7.5 sacks in his career. Not bad. Look at some interior players. A guy like Bernard Gooden. Bernard Gooden's played in 27 games with 11 starts. He's got 2 sacks and 11.5 TFLs. Remember I told you about Peter Woods from Clemson? 11 TFLs, 3 sacks. Kind of what and what right there. We haven't even talked yet about Gabe Relaford, Dom McKinley, former 5-star, Ahmad Bro, who's going to be back for another season, Jack Pyburn, who's played in 29 games in the Southeastern Conference for the Florida Gators and was unstoppable. In this practice we're talking about, Pyburn both had a sack and a 5-yard TFL on a running play. Oh, by the way, there's also Jacobian Guillory, who's played in 41 career games. Here's my point. LSU's defensive front may be the best defensive front that the LSU offensive line sees all year. And you can roll your eyes at that. And I get it because they haven't been good the last 2 years. Objectively, they've not been good. But isn't this why LSU went in the transfer portal and spent a buttload of money? Technical term, by the way. Isn't this why they went and bought Patrick Payton and Jack Pyburn and Jamari Butler and Bernard Gooden, who's been unblockable on the interior, by the way? Wasn't this the objective? Like, if you didn't have any of these transfers, like, let me spell this out for you. Last year in fall camp, Jacobian Guillory was far and away your best defensive lineman. Like, technical ability, familiarity, comfort, all of it. By a mile, your best guy. He's running with your twos right now. I mean, you've got Dom McKinley, Bernard Gooden as your starters. Bro and Guillory are your backups. He's your 4th best guy right now because you went in the portal and addressed it. It's what the portal allows you to do to get better talent immediately, and they're popping right now. So all my point is, we may play a 12-game season, and we'll come back here and say, man, you were dead wrong. Those guys looked really good in camp just because LSU's offensive line was no good. But Payton, Butler, Pyburn, Gooden, Relaford, McKinley, Bro, Guillory, all these guys have skins on the wall. And there's more of them than there are at Clemson. All that to say, I'm not discouraged at all by the LSU offensive line because they got talent. Every time they run one-on-ones, I see those LSU offensive linemen win reps. What they haven't been able to do yet is turn their 5 into one cohesive unit. And they got 3 weeks to do it. I don't know if they'll do it in time for Clemson. Maybe they won't. Maybe it won't really come together until October. And maybe by then they've got a couple of losses and it's too late. I don't know. I hope not. But what I know is there's plenty of talent on the offensive line. But that defensive line is going to give a lot of teams fits because that's what LSU went into the portal to do, was to buy this type of roster to be able to do this. And my goodness, are they doing it? Brian Kelly even talked about it. And it's not just pass rushers coming from around the outside.
Yeah, I mean, if you look carefully, where were a lot of the pressures were from inside out, not outside in. And that's a great thing, right? When you have guys that are creating issues from the inside out of the pocket instead of just rushing off the edge where you can get a hand on them and widen it and step up. Where we're getting our best success is inside out. And so, Good and Guillory, Jamari played a little bit. Butler played some inside. Gabe can play a little bit inside. We can be very dynamic from an inside-out perspective as well. Obviously McKinley's big and long. So when you add that to, what we think is 4 guys that can play off the edge, you got a pretty dynamic pass rush now.
I'm not here to sunshine pump and tell you that this is going to be the best defense ever. I'm just here to tell you LSU's defense is going to give a lot of offensive lines problem. And it's problematic right now for LSU's offensive line, but iron sharpens iron. Much more to come. It's Locked on LSU, your team every day. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Maybe, you share accounts and expenses with your spouse, your partner. If you want to stay on the same page, Monarch can help you do that. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. The defense dominating the scrimmage was on Tuesday, was a gigantic part of what we saw transpire for LSU on Tuesday. But there was so much more that also we saw that was notable. First and foremost, how about someone like Harlem Berry? We did talk a little bit about it. Harlem Berry was running as the second running back in practice on Tuesday. Caden Durham was first. That's been Caleb Jackson running second. And then Harlem Berry had been third. In this instance, Durham ran first, and then Berry rotated in with the first team. And then it was Caleb Jackson and JT Lindsay with the second team. Now, I'm not sure I would make too much of this, but I did ask Brian Kelly after practice about the decision to get Harlem Berry those reps with the ones.
I think we all know his traits, right? Very smooth. He's got elite speed, catches the ball well. But, there's a transition from high school to college. The tackling is different. The physicality is a little bit different. So, Caleb is a difficult guy. He ran through a couple of outside zone plays today where the first tackler, he just kind of shedded. Harlem is getting used to that. So there's a bit of a transition for him in high school tackling and college tackling. So this is just a process for him and for us. We really like him. We think he's going to have to play for us this year. But there's a bit of a transition there in terms of learning the physicality that comes with playing here.
So it's not anything with Berry getting those reps with the ones that I think you should read too much into. If you listen to my post-practice observations, one of the things I shared with you is whenever LSU did the wide receiver defensive back drill, the one-on-one drill, they have thrown DJ Pickett into the deep end. He's a freshman, but every rep, he's not guarding a freshman. He's not lining up on Teron Francis or even a redshirt guy like Jelani Watkins or Kylan Billiot or Kyle Parker. They've got DJ Pickett every rep going one-on-one with Chris Hilton. And that is very much by design. They are saying, okay, kid, we are going to need you. And every single Saturday in the SEC, somebody has a Chris Hilton. Maybe not specifically, but everybody's got a dude that's their best guy. And there's a chance that dude could rotate on you. And we don't need you, zero entry pool, wading, ankle deep, shin deep, knee deep, waist deep. Like, get in the deep end. So they keep throwing DJ Pickett in the deep end to make him try to cover Chris Hilton to realize this is what you're going to face on Saturdays in the SEC. And I think this was an instance to do the same with Harlem Berry, to say, look, we could keep having you run scout team. You could run with the 2s and the 3s, but you got to see what it's like to run into the line of scrimmage and Jack Pyburn's waiting for you, or AJ Haulcy's meeting you in the gap, or there's Dom McKinley shedding a block and you got to make him miss and fight through contact. They're forcing these young guys into these scenarios now in fall camp because they're going to need them August 30th against Clemson. Now, two guys who are not in any way strangers to this type of experience are AJ Haulcy and Tamarcus Cooley, the two safeties. Brian Kelly was asked that, and by the way, it's been a pretty healthy rotation among the safeties. Sometimes it's Jordan Gilbert and Tamarcus Cooley. Sometimes it's Cooley and Haulcy. Sometimes it's been Deshaun Spears and Cooley. We've seen Javen Toviano back there as well. You've seen those 5 guys rotate pretty fluidly. But my opinion is that when they go to Clemson, the lion's share of the defensive reps are going to go to AJ Haulcy and Tamarcus Cooley. Brian Kelly was asked about those two guys and what they were looking for when they signed them.
I mean, game experience and football knowledge. Those are the two things, and we didn't move off of those. And everybody that we evaluated, Jacques, it was if they don't have those two criteria, we can't even begin this process. So they have to have snaps, real live snaps, and they have to be smart football players. We're not going to go in here and teach you the nuances of the game. We're past that. And they both have those qualities, and they have athletic ability. So what are we getting? Smart, savvy, physical players that have played a lot of college football.
How much college football have they played? Well, Tamarcus Cooley transferred in from NC State after his freshman year at Maryland. He's played in 17 games with 9 starts. As we've gone over, his Pro Football Focus numbers last year as a sophomore were better than every single LSU player in the secondary. I should say as a redshirt freshman, now he's a third-year sophomore. AJ Haulcy, you want to talk about experience and snaps played? AJ Haulcy started his career at New Mexico, spends the last 2 years at Houston. AJ Haulcy has played in 36 games with 33 starts. You want to talk about experience? He made 154 tackles in 36 games. The bottom line is you got two dudes who know their way around the field. And remember, AJ Haulcy wasn't even here in spring. He was a spring portal addition, so after spring football. AJ Haulcy quite literally on Tuesday finished his 6th ever practice wearing an LSU uniform, and he's out there making plays. He had an interception in 7-on-7 Tuesday. AJ Haulcy, wearing number 13, I would be fall over stunned if he doesn't establish himself as a starting safety on this team. He is so clearly the most experienced, most talented in the run stoppage and defending the pass. He's a great player, an awesome addition. And remember, two of the biggest impact guys on the defense right now are Bernard Gooden and AJ Haulcy, two guys they added in the spring portal window after spring football. It's so impressive what they've been able to build talent-wise on this defense. Brian Kelly said it. They wanted experienced guys, and they got two there really across the board on this defense. Blake Baker's defense in year 2, they undeniably have dramatically upgraded the talent. See if they can pull it all together over the course of a 12-game schedule. What about the future of LSU's talent? We visit with Shea Dixon every single week here on Locked on LSU. You'll hear some of the high points next here on Locked on LSU, your team every day. I love having the opportunity to tell you every single day about our friends at Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU athletics. And of course, at Our Lady of the Lake, they offer specialized care no matter what it may be. If it's cancer or heart or stroke or pediatrics. I've told you before, my son, Drew, is a patient of several of the specialists at Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital. And it's really a full circle moment for me. As a high school student, I used to volunteer at the Ronald McDonald Playroom at the Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital when it was part of the main campus there on Essen Lane in Baton Rouge. And then as I started my radio career, I was involved in so many fundraising efforts for the standalone children's hospital. And now my son is cared for at that very same standalone children's hospital. Whether it's the pediatrics, whether it's the LSU football players, or all of the LSU athletes receiving that championship health care from the Our Lady of the Lake physicians and trainers. The LSU students, remember, Our Lady of the Lake took over the on-campus care of all the LSU students, or the many hospitals and clinics, part of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System. Championship-level health care is available not only to LSU student athletes and students, but to you and me and everyday champions. So learn more at ololrmc.com/LSU. That's ololrmc.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Every week, we have a chance to visit with Shea Dixon from On3, the Bengal Tiger. And of course, it was a massive week for LSU as the Tigers landed commitments from 2 defensive linemen. Darius McKinley, the younger brother of former LSU 5-star Dominic McKinley, committed to LSU on Friday. A day later on Saturday, it was top 100 overall prospect defensive lineman Deuce Gerald, who pledged to the Tigers, giving LSU 3 5-stars and a high 4-star on the defensive line, and what is the top defensive line class in the country this year. And there's a big question now after 5-star safety Blaine Bradford shared Deuce Gerald's commitment announcement, if Bradford might be leaning towards LSU. I asked Shea Dixon for an update on the 5-star safety from Catholic High in Baton Rouge.
It doesn't hurt when, all the other guys in the class and that he knows, from playing against them, or like Lamar Brown. He and Lamar Brown, how long? We've talked about him since they were in 9th grade. Like, they know each other well as Baton Rouge kids. So to have kind of a public push where LSU fans then get in there and support doesn't hurt. I think you could look at Sam Petito being hired from Ohio State as a guy who played a role in kind of helping recruit him out of Louisiana as a Louisiana native, now being on staff at LSU is something that doesn't hurt. But I would go back to this reality. Nothing changed from the day before Blaine Bradford committed to Ohio State in the spring to now. I mean, they have just continued to recruit him, and in the meantime, not put all their eggs in one basket. Look what they've done just with our rivals' rankings. I mean, they've had Aiden Hall committed for a while. He's been a top 10 safety, but Isaiah Washington out of Haynesville after track season, they went up and offered him. So does everybody else. He's now a top 150 overall player, no matter the position. And these guys are physical. Blaine Bradford the same. They can get in the box and play. And Jake Olson really wanted a coverage safety. Went to Alabama. A guy who wasn't being heavily recruited at the time was Dylan Purder. Now he's blown up as a commitment, and he's a top 150 player. So I think they've sort of got it figured out to where, hey, if Bradford doesn't flip, we've got 3 really good safeties that we like, but we are going to press them all the way to signing day. And I don't think it hurts that Lamar, Richard Anderson, all of these guys are staying home. I think when you look at the top 10 right now, and maybe outside of one guy that got an LSU offer even after he committed, but 8 of the 10 are committed to LSU, with Bradford being the highest ranked kid that's not. So there's always going to kind of be that public, not pressure, but reality that, hey, look, everyone but you is staying home for college.
So the beat goes on. We'll find out when we do, but don't read too much into the Blaine Bradford stuff right now. It'd be great to get him if they do, but LSU has built a safety class to where they'll be good enough if they don't get him. Now, one big-time commitment is set to pop on Friday. That's 5-star wide receiver Jase Mathews, and 5-star offensive lineman Darius Gray will also pop in August. Shea Dixon gave an update on the 2 of them.
Yes, look, I got a text from a source after they popped Deuce Gerald's, which went over a number of teams, but Oregon is a notable win. In the, you're going up. A lot of people just say it's like whatever school versus Phil Knight, and if it's coming down to that, it's how often do you win? And LSU's got some wins over Oregon now. When you look forward, like I said, I got a message not 5 minutes after Deuce went public that said all eyes on Jase Mathews now. So he commits on Friday. He is the number 2 receiver on Rivals right now. The number 1 receiver is Tristan Keys, who is already committed to LSU. So can you add to that class with a guy like Jase Mathews? They're going up against Auburn, A&M, Ole Miss there as an in-state team. He's a Mississippi kid, but border state who most people like Deuce Gerald's feel will probably pick between LSU Auburn. Like Deuce was LSU Oregon. This could be LSU Auburn. And then the same case for Darius Gray, who is a 5-star, who is the number 1 interior O-lineman. I believe he's the highest ranked uncommitted 5-star left out there. He'll commit on the 22nd. And that one is, he's from Virginia, but South Carolina would be the kind of the local school that has been on him a long time. And then LSU is the one out-of-state school that clearly has made the biggest splash with him. So those are the two that, at least in the month of August, remember, we're still in a dead period here where coaches and recruits can't be on campus or on the road or any of that. So these are phone calls and Zooms and everything like that. But 2 more big dominoes will drop before the season.
LSU presently with 18 commits for the class of 2026. We'll find out on Friday if Jase Mathews will make it 19, and we'll be talking about right here on Locked on LSU. Hey, thanks so much for making us your first listen every single day. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes of college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Hey, if you're on podcast, thanks so much for being there. Please subscribe on your favorite podcast app, or just leave a review. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. As long as LSU's in fall camp and throughout the season, you know we will be right here with you every step of the way. And we're so grateful for all of you who have continued to make Locked on LSU part of your day every single day. So thank you sincerely for being there with us. And remember, let a friend know that if they love the Tigers, we got you here every single day for Locked on LSU, your team every day.